You have stared at the word before, paleo. It is printed across a protein bar in your hand, or glowing on a restaurant menu, promising to unlock the body your ancestors had. You picture them strong and lean, tearing into meat beside a fire, untouched by modern disease. But the real answer is far stranger. Your ancestors did not eat like this, and the gap between their table and yours is not just a matter of ingredients. It is a matter of time, place, desperation, and surprise. Your brain was built for scarcity. Every craving you feel today was once a survival tool forged over 2 million years of uncertainty. But the environment that shaped those cravings has vanished, and the food surrounding you now is something no ancient human would recognize as food at all. It is too consistent, too soft, too sweet, and it arrives without the one thing that once defined every meal: effort. To understand what they actually ate, you must first abandon the image of the caveman gnawing on a giant bone beside a volcano. That is a cartoon, not a menu. The truth is that your ancestors were opportunists of the highest order. They ate what the season offered, what the landscape allowed, and what their tools could process. And according to groundbreaking research by archaeobotanist Amanda Henry and her team at the Max Planck Institute, that diet included far more than meat. By analyzing fossilized dental calculus, essentially ancient plaque scraped from the teeth of prehistoric humans, they found traces of dozens of plant species: nuts, roots, seeds, legumes, even grains. The idea that ancient humans lived on a pure carnivore diet is a modern fantasy built by people selling steak. Their mouths were filled with the microscopic evidence of a buffet that changed with every season. But plants were not the whole story. Meat mattered. It was dense, portable, and packed with the nutrients that growing brains demanded. Yet the meat you buy wrapped in plastic bears almost no resemblance to the meat they consumed. Your ancestors ate the entire animal: brain, liver, marrow, tongue, kidneys, eyes. They cracked bones open to access the fat inside because calories were never guaranteed. A successful hunt did not mean steak dinners for a week. It meant a race against time and scavengers to extract every possible calorie before rot set in. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was trimmed for preference. Preference was a luxury they could not afford. Richard Wrangham, a primatologist at Harvard University, has spent decades arguing that the real revolution in human evolution was not the spear. It was fire. Cooking transformed tough roots and sinewy meat into digestible energy. It unlocked calories that raw food could never provide. A cooked potato delivers far more energy than a raw one. A cooked steak requires a fraction of the chewing. Without cooking, the human brain could not have grown to its current size. Your gut would still need to be enormous to break down raw fiber all day. Can you imagine chewing for 6 hours just to survive? With cooking, your ancestors gained hours they did not spend chewing. Time to plan, time to speak, time to build societies, time to become you. So the next time someone tells you that raw food is the natural human diet, remember that cooking is the most ancient and transformative technology in your kitchen. Your ancestors were chefs before they were farmers. So the paleo plate was a rotating cast of hundreds of foods. Researchers estimate that hunter-gatherers regularly consumed over 100 different species of plants and animals in a single year. Compare that to your modern diet. How many species do you eat in a month? 20? 15? Maybe fewer. When was the last time you ate something you personally gathered from the ground? In some seasons, the ancestral plate was mostly tubers dug from hard earth with sharpened sticks. In others, it was fish trapped in shallow streams, or shellfish collected from tidal pools. Some days it was honey stolen from bees at great personal risk. Other days it was insects, larvae, or the scavenged remains of a predator's kill that your ancestors drove away with noise and stones. There was no meal plan. There was no macro counting. There was no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There was only the urgent question of what exists right here, right now, and will it keep me alive until the sun rises again? No one knew. This brings us to the part that modern diet culture refuses to mention. Your ancestors loved sugar. They loved fat. They loved salt. They did not avoid these things because they were trying to optimize longevity or maintain a beach body. They sought them desperately. A ripe fig tree was a jackpot that caused celebration. A beehive was a treasure chest worth burning your hands over. A fatty animal was a holiday that might not come again for weeks. The difference was not willpower. The difference was availability. What you call junk food today is simply those same ancient rewards, stripped of their natural breaks and delivered on demand. And here is the question no one asks. What happened to the breaks? Have you ever tasted a truly wild fruit? It is smaller than a grocery store apple. It is fibrous. It is tart. The sugar comes wrapped in cellulose that slows absorption and fills your stomach. You would need to eat dozens to match the sugar in one glass of juice. Now crack open a soda. What happens? The sugar hits your bloodstream in seconds. There is no fiber to slow it down, no chewing to signal fullness to your brain. Your reward circuits light up exactly as they would for that ancient honey, but your body receives none of the accompanying signals that say enough. Do you see the trap? Modern food has perfected the delivery of pleasure without the machinery of satisfaction. It is a hack, and your brain was never patched to defend against it. Did your ancestors have such discipline? No. They had scarcity. Herman Pontzer, an evolutionary anthropologist at Duke University, spent years embedded with the Hadza, one of the last true hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. His research revealed something that surprised even him. The Hadza burn roughly the same number of daily calories as sedentary Westerners. Their bodies adapt. Energy expenditure stays within a narrow range regardless of how much they move. This means you cannot simply exercise your way out of a bad diet. The control of weight and health happens primarily at the end of your fork. And the Hadza diet is not a meat fest. It includes mongongo nuts, baobab fruit, diverse tubers, berries, and honey. Meat is important but sporadic. When they find honey, they eat as much as humanly possible. They are not disciplined. They are opportunistic, just like your ancestors were, just like you would be if cookies grew on trees outside your window. The modern paleo movement gets one thing right. Processed industrial food is a problem for human health, but it gets almost everything else wrong. Your ancestors did not eat bacon for breakfast every morning. They did not drink butter in their coffee. They did not have access to unlimited chicken breast or almond flour pancakes sweetened with maple syrup. They ate seasonally, locally, and desperately. They went hungry for days. They feasted until they were sick when the opportunity came. They ate plants that would make a modern grocery store produce section look empty and uniform. And they cooked almost everything. Wrangham's work makes this undeniable. Raw foodism is not ancestral. Cooking shaped your brain, your face, and your digestion. Now consider the speed. Your ancestors spent hours obtaining food, tracking animals across valleys, digging roots from hard earth, climbing trees for fruit, cracking nuts between stones, butchering carcasses with flint, processing, preparing, waiting for the fire to settle. You spend 60 seconds at a drive-through window. Does your brain even register that as food, or just as reward? That speed matters to your brain in ways you cannot consciously control. Dopamine is released in response to effort and reward together. When effort drops to zero and reward stays high, the brain does not register satisfaction the same way. It registers addiction. This is why you can eat an entire bag of chips while watching a screen without ever feeling full. Your ancestors could not eat 20,000 calories of honey in one sitting because the bees would not allow it. The container was guarded by stings. The supply was limited by season. The effort was extreme and dangerous. Your refrigerator requires no such negotiation. It offers the reward without the story. So what was the real paleo diet? It was uncertainty. It was variety beyond what you experience in a decade. It was whole animals and whole plants prepared with fire and shared among the group. It was extraordinarily high fiber. It was high effort. It was low predictability. It was not a diet in the modern sense. It was simply the only option. And it came with a cost your ancestors paid every single day. The cost of hunger that bent them double. The cost of parasites living in their guts. The cost of food poisoning from spoiled meat. The cost of watching a child waste away because the rains did not come and the animals had migrated away. When you romanticize their diet, you forget the starvation that shaped it. You forget that they would have killed for the wrapper in your hand. The modern junk food industry has reverse-engineered your ancestral cravings with terrifying precision. They have isolated the reward molecules. They have removed the work. They have stripped away the fiber, the protein, the water, and the bulk that once told your body to stop. What remains is a delivery system for dopamine that your brain is powerless to refuse. Not because you are weak, but because you are human. You are running ancient software in a world that has learned to hack it perfectly. The chips are designed to dissolve at the ideal rate. The soda is calibrated to the exact sweetness that prevents your brain from feeling sated. The colors are chosen to trigger excitement. Ask yourself, when did food become a program? This is not food. It is a behavioral program wearing the mask of a meal. This is why the wrapper on your desk is lying to you. Not because the ingredients inside are necessarily terrible, but because the story is wrong. You cannot eat like your ancestors by buying a different bar or eliminating bread. You would need to eat 100 different species of plants per year. You would need to eat organs and marrow regularly. You would need to fast for days without choosing to. You would need to cook everything over fire you made yourself and share it with people who might starve with you tomorrow. And even then, you would be missing the one ingredient that defined their entire experience: uncertainty. The uncertainty of not knowing where the next meal was coming from. Your body still expects that uncertainty. Your metabolism is ready for famine at any moment. Your taste buds are ready to explode at the first hint of rare sweetness. Your brain is ready to remember exactly where that honey tree stands and guard that knowledge with your life. But your world offers the opposite: abundance without effort, sweetness without season, fat without limit, meat without bones, and your ancient machinery cannot adapt quickly enough to save you from the surplus. How do you fight a trap built from your own instincts? The next time you see the word paleo, remember what it actually meant. It meant eating whatever you could find before something else did. It meant sharing food with others because tomorrow you might have nothing and they might save you. It meant cooking because your life and your brain depended on the calories fire could unlock. It meant that the same brain you have right now, with all its cravings and fears, was shaped by scarcity so profound that a single ripe fruit could feel like a miracle. A mouthful of fat could mean survival. You have stared at the word before, but now you know what it really meant. It did not mean a product in a wrapper. It meant survival against odds you have never faced. And your ancestors would not recognize the bar in your hand. They would recognize the hunger in your gut. But they would wonder why, in a world of such impossible abundance, that hunger never seems to end.